Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Success Academy. We are very excited to have you all here. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if today's video ends up being valuable to you, don't forget to share this with a friend. So, I'm here with one of my friends today, Abhishek. Abhishek, first of all, nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So Abhishek has been, from the time we were young, we've been very good friends. We've acted together in multiple stage performances. So Abhishek is into theatre, right? And most importantly, I think even more than theatre, he was very involved in the choir.
Yes.
Right? So he's a chorister. Even now he trains multiple choirs. He trains children, adults to sing well in a professional choir setting. Am I right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And how this transpired, or how this transitioned into theatre as well, is quite interesting. So I think even when it comes to theatre performances, people call you to improve the actor's ability to speak clearly, right? Articulate their words, speak clearly, pronounce their words clearly. So he comes and helps people improve their clarity of speech, which is exactly why we have him here today, because I'm a public speaking trainer and I use Abhishek in some of my classes and some of the trainings that I do to help people speak more confidently and clearly. So we want to share some of those techniques here with you today. So Abhishek, when you first got into the theatre space, I think you started acting quite young.
Yeah.
I remember, what did our director scold you most about?
For the very same thing you just listed out right now.
Which is?
Things like articulation and pronunciation.
Basically, at that time, you weren't very good at projecting your words, articulating your words.
Very good, not very good was an understatement, I would say.
No one could understand what you were saying.
Yes.
But that was the case for most of us, right? I remember even myself, when I first got into theatre, I think. How old were you when you first started?
I think so. My first production was in 2010, so I was like about 11 years old.
I think we acted together earlier than that also, in a school concert that we had, Andare. So we were in grade 4.
Yeah.
And that's how we first got to know each other also.
He was Andare.
So I was Andare, you were one of the ministers.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we first got into, I think the inter-school Shakespeare drama competition was when I first started, but you acted in a public production before that.
Yes.
But one thing we really struggled with was speaking clearly. People couldn't understand what we were saying.
Yes.
We couldn't maybe pronounce some words clearly. And especially when you're speaking in front of an audience, if you're delivering a speech, if you're delivering a presentation, this is something a lot of people struggle with.
Of course.
Right? So what are some things that you can do, the people watching, to improve their ability to speak clearly?
Well, there are a bunch of exercises that a lot of the people in the theatre space, in the theatre circle, or even in the singing circle use. A lot of these exercises are actually very effective. The first thing is you need to loosen up a lot of your jaw muscles. You need to be able to move your jaw freely, be nice and loose. Tongue twisters is something that we use all the time because they allow you to rattle off a set of words in a fast manner, but in a very clear and a very clear-cut way. I think we can give an example of "round the rugged road, the rugged rascal ran" is something I think you have shown your students as well, wherever we teach, or even on the TSA page. It might be, people might feel it's a bit funny. You might feel a bit weird to say these kind of things, but tongue twisters are very underrated in terms of their ability to improve. I wouldn't say underrated. I think they're well appreciated because it helps you emphasize on different sounds in the vocabulary, in English vocabulary, and help you pronounce those sounds in a more effective manner. The other thing is you do a lot of articulation exercises with consonants. For example, something that we use a lot is you take the vowel sound, so R, A, E, O, U, which is A, E, I, O, U, but the sound you make, and you add a consonant at the front and at the back of it. So if I take the letter D, for example, it would be dad, did, deed, doed, dude. So with those type of exercises, you can focus on the start of the word and also the end of the word. That helps you emphasize your words more. So there are a lot of exercises that can be used. Now these are just some of the exercises that we have learned, the two of us, while doing theatre in school and other productions. But the resources you have to improve your articulation or your pronunciation and the exercises that you can use to make yourself more clear, it's abundant. Now these are not written in stone saying, you know, you have to do only these exercises and you have only these exercises to get better. You can try out a number of different things. I think everyone has access to the internet. You know, you just go online, search a few things. You will find very effective exercises. But the key thing is practice. I think we've repeated this on a number of occasions.
That's literally our tagline.
Yes.
Till our next video, keep practicing.
It might seem, you know, very obvious for them to say the words keep practicing, but it is important because when you keep on repeating, you get better. Like Sheshan said, it was a massive problem for me, the fact that people couldn't understand the thing I say. It was, like I said, I have lost roles over it, you know, lost speaking roles because I was not articulate, and fair enough, because, you know, you need to, if you're in a theatre production or if you're in a musical or whatever, you need to be understood because you are telling a story at the end of the day, and your voice is one of your tools to tell that story. So I was very conscious, and that's another thing which I wanted to mention. Having a good vocabulary is one thing. You know, it's always great if you can improve your vocabulary, add words to your toolbox. But if no one is going to understand what you're saying, does it really matter? You know?
Absolutely. You have to be clear. You have to be understood by the people you're speaking to if you want them to be interested in what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, let's take this step at a time right now. You said tongue twisters are important to improve your ability to speak clearly, and yes, you said round the rugged rocks the ragged rascals ran is one of the examples of a tongue twister. Now we have obviously discussed that on the page as well.
Yeah.
So for people watching this video, what would be the top 5 the top 5 tongue twisters that they can use to improve their speaking skills? Now there's hundreds if not thousands of tongue twisters that you can use. But what are the 5 most common ones that anyone watching this video can practice?
Well, shall I rattle them off?
Go ahead. So let's take one at a time.
Okay, so I would say look at it based off of the sounds you need to work on. So, round the rugged, you focus on the R. So you roll your tongue, you emphasize the R by rolling your tongue, and when you repeat it, you can get a good hang of the R sound.
So that is round the rugged rocks, the ragged rascals ran.
Yes.
Right.
But at the same time, now you're also focusing on the R sound, but you need to also focus on the end of your words. So when you say round, the D needs to get emphasized as well. So it's round the rugged rocks, the rugged rascal ran. The N is also important. You don't say ran, and you don't let the N get lost in while you speak. So that's one, that's the R sound. B, the B sound for the letter B. So number 2, something we know very well is Betty bought a bit of butter, but she found the butter bitter. So Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bitter butter better. Now there again, you focus on the B sound and emphasizing that, but at the same time, you focus on the end of the word. So when you say Betty bought, the T sound needs to come out. And Betty bought a bit of butter, so there's a lot of T sounds there. And also you have the third line, the fourth line, which says to make, so the K sound, you know. So basically, again, B sound is the priority, but you also work on ending your words and pronouncing. So that's number 2. Number 3 could be the letter P. So for that we use this one. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. So you could use the entire thing. There's a few more lines, but that itself is good enough. So you have Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. So as I said, you focus on the P at the start, but you also focus on the end of the word. So picked, pepper, so on and so forth. Number 4, I would say the letter W. So how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
That's important because certain people mess up the the W sound with the B sound, right? So this focuses on
the W. So when you say the letter W, you normally roll your lips, so it's W. And if you say the letter V, like van, you would always bite your lower lip, so it's van. So this would help you pronounce the letter W. So how much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And finally, number 5. Maybe
number 5, yeah, because one of the most common mistakes that I see Sri Lankan people make when it comes to their pronunciation especially is they don't pronounce the sir sound properly. So is spoon, is school, that sir sound, they never say it as sir.
Yes.
I mean, when I do public speaking classes, the people that I get, all top people, lawyers, doctors, teachers, and so on. And even them, they mispronounce this word. So I think the most common one to fix that would be she sells seashells on the seashore.
Yeah.
She sells seashells on the seashore. Now that forces you, if I'm not mistaken, to emphasize on that sir sound, because if you say is seashore,
yes,
it's out, it's wrong.
It
you can't say it,
yes,
right? So she sells seashells on the seashore.
Yeah.
So those are the 5 tongue twisters. Round and round, the rugged rocks, the ragged rascals ran. Betty bought a bit of butter, but she found the butter bitter. So Betty bought a bit of better butter to make the bitter butter better. Correct. The third one you said was for the per sound. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Yes. The next one was for the W sound. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Correct.
And the last one was for the sir sound. She sells seashells on the seashore. So these are some tongue twisters that anyone watching at home can use to improve your articulation, right? So Abhishek, now have you been in instances outside of school where you have had to communicate with people and you understood that, wow, these activities or these exercises that I did when I was in school and this experience and exposure that I got from doing vocal exercises, that is what helped me communicate with these people better? Do you have a story like that?
In general, I would say in life, because like I said, it was a massive problem for me when I was in school, and I had to make a conscious effort. Because like I said, in terms of vocabulary and actual English knowledge, I'm not to brag, but it's not something that I lack, because I mean, for me, English is my mother tongue, and I've been in English medium since grade 1, so I've used it. I use it at home as well. With my parents, I speak in English. With you guys, I talk in English. I'm not afraid to talk in English. It's something that I'm very comfortable with. It's my first language, so there is no issue there. But there was the problem where, despite the fact that I have this high level, I mean considerably high level, people didn't understand me. And that was something that, at times it would get frustrating, because I would tell to myself, I have a good level, but what's the point? So in general, it's something that I worked on myself. I put a lot of effort. Still, there are some times where, I go back to those old habits and I have to tell myself, no, you need to be disciplined, is what I'm trying to say, because it just helps you as a person, to be clear and concise. But I would say, I mean, not one particular example, but in general, people have understood me better. I also do a podcast with a couple of other friends where we talk on sports, and there it is required that you speak clearly so that people can understand what you're saying. So in general, for sure, I mean, I am grateful for the fact that I have learned all these things through the choir, through theatre, through all the teachers that I've had who've helped me rather to get to be better at articulation. It does help you in life for sure. It helps you to be a better communicator, to be understood. So yeah, I think for me it has helped me in life, in general.
One last thing I want to touch on is that with your musical ability, speaking also comes to you naturally in a flow. You know how to modulate your voice,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of people struggle with. When you stand in front of an audience and you have to speak to them, if you speak in the same tone, nobody understands nobody wants to listen to you.
Yeah, it's very monotonous, it's very bland. It's like, oh, it's a robot speaking. You can just put an AI prompt now that you have that as well. It brings out another dimension to your speaking, doesn't it? It invites people, you can use it to add suspense if you want. It's important, like you said. And yes, through music, but it doesn't have to be necessarily through music as well. You can learn through things like public speaking and spoken English and the other tools that are available. But learning to modulate your voice, when we talk of modulation, you want to explain what that is?
That means you have a variation in your pitch, the power that you use, that means how loud or how soft you are, and the pace, that is the speed in which you speak, how fast or how slow you speak. And also your use of pause. When you say something important, you pause a couple of seconds, so you give people time to understand what you're saying. So these are all things that, again, need to be discussed in detail, and people need to practice. But this is something you can do at home. You take one sentence, you try and say it with a lot of energy. First you say it with a lot of volume. See if that makes a difference in what you're saying. Then you slow it down and you try to say it. Now you combine the two. You say it loud and you say it slow, right? You add in a pause. So these are things you can do at home and try out if you want to improve the way you sound as a speaker.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, there's a lot more that we have to discuss here, and we will move it on to a second episode as well. But in this episode, you learned 5 tongue twisters that you can use in any occasion to improve the clarity of your speech. You also learned that voice modulation is important, and you need to learn how to modulate your pitch, power, pace, and pause to sound clear and to sound interesting when you speak. So we'll elaborate more on this in our next upcoming episodes. So till our next video, make sure
to keep practicing.